I went and saw Madam Web. Here's my honest review. First off, I want to start out by saying that the movie was better than I expected it to be, and the only reason I say that is because I expected it to be the worst superhero movie I had ever seen in my entire life. It was not that. Aquaman this year, I would say, was worse than Madam Web. But that does not make this a good movie by any means. And though there was some good aspects and some positives to this movie, the negatives far outweighed them, which just made this movie a struggle to watch, and I left the theater so unsatisfied with what I just saw. First off, let's start off with the performances by the actors. Starting off with Dakota Johnson, I gotta be honest, she was very disappointing in this movie, I'm not gonna lie. She didn't have one line in this entire film where she had a different tone of voice and any emotion in what she was saying. And a lot of the time, I'll blame bad performances on a bad script, and that was the case for this movie, but also her performance of these lines were just not engaging at all. She didn't have any personality. It just sounded like she didn't care about what she was saying whatsoever. No emotion, monotone voice throughout the entire movie. But I had the exact same problem with Ezekiel Sims, played by Tahar Rahim. It was just so dry and so monotone, and he couldn't deliver a line with any enthusiasm or emotion. It was all just, he said it as if he was reading it off the script. And once again, the script was not even close to good enough for that to be okay. However, I will say that Sydney Sweeney, Isabela Merced, and Celeste O'Connor were actually very good in this movie with what they were given. The scenes where it was just those three talking to each other without Dakota Johnson's character were some of the best scenes of the movie. I say this because it felt like they actually had chemistry and that there was emotion going on when they were talking to each other. And just the delivery of a line can help the fact that the script was so bad, because oh my god, was it so bad. Another performance that I would like to point out is Adam Scott as Uncle Ben. He felt like the most natural character in the entire movie. And that might have been just because the lines that he was given didn't feel like they were unbelievably cheesy right out of a cartoon from the early 2000s. But his performance of the lines that he was given was so smooth and natural. Uncle Ben will forever be my GOAT. In terms of the contents of the movie, the plot was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. It actually had a flow to it that was okay. It wasn't the worst plot that I've seen in a superhero movie, even within the last couple of months. Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom was far worse than this when it came to plot. But everything else around the movie that has to take place just absolutely took away from the plot and did not make it enjoyable at all to watch. The camera work was nauseating. There was this one scene where she goes back to Peru to figure out where she got her abilities, and it does these camera cuts from her past, and it just keeps flashing white lights in your face. I about had a seizure sitting there watching it. I couldn't even, I had to close my eyes. It was awful. And then there was just certain scenes where I was like, why? Why would you do that? The first and most obvious is that they marketed this movie to have the three girls, the three Spider Women, in their suits fighting the bad guy. And we literally got that for 30 seconds out of the entire movie. I remember sitting there the first time I saw them and I was like, oh, those suits are really sick. I can't wait to see more of them. And then they just didn't come. At the end of the movie, we got a little snippet of their lives in the future. That's it. We just don't see them in the suits, even though they marketed this movie with the girls in the suits the whole time. And I feel bad for the three actresses, but also the team that created these suits, the designers, because these suits were awesome and they didn't get any screen time. And then the inclusion of Peter Parker as a cameo, even though he's an unborn child, was so strange to me. I get what they were trying to do, we all love Peter Parker, and so they wanted to hint at him in this movie, but the whole baby shower where people were trying to guess the name of Mary Parker's kid, and it was oh, what's it gonna be? And then the balloon pops right when she says it. We know his name. You don't you're not hiding anything from us. We know what it's gonna be. Just say it. If you wanted to do a cool Spider-Man reference in the movie, this is what you could have done, okay? When Madam Web gets blind at the end of the movie and it shows Peter being born, it could have showed the baby, cut to Madam Web and zoom in on her eyes, and then we zoom into what she's seeing, the future of the baby, and just show us clips from The Amazing Spider-Man 1 with Andrew Garfield. That would have been a cool reference to Spider-Man. It's oh, he's gonna become this awesome hero in the future. But they just didn't do that. They were just oh, he's a baby. I wonder if you know who this is. We know who it is. It's Peter Parker. That's it. The movie wasn't even about him. I will say some of the effects were cool, and I think Ezekiel Sims' fighting style and character was cool, even though his acting and script was not. His like fighting and his special effects when he was like swinging around and climbing on walls and the fighting sequences were pretty cool at times. I'm not going to say all the time, but I want to point out some kind of positive that I took from this movie. So in short, the good things about this movie: Sydney Sweeney, Isabela Merced, Celeste O'Connor had really good chemistry, though the script was really bad and they did what they could with it. They were probably the best parts of this movie. And then some action sequences, and Uncle Ben was really good. And then the plot was okay. It wasn't anything special, but it wasn't like terrible. And then bad parts of this movie: just about everything else. All in all, I give it about a 1 star out of 5, 2 out of 10, whatever you want to say. It was a bad movie. It wasn't good. But I want to know what you think of it. Go see it in theaters and then come back and comment on this video. I want to hear your thoughts. Till next time, I'll see you later.